Do you ever feel that your GPU isn't cutting it? That your old workhorse isn't running the same way it used to? Or did you just get a shiny new GPU that you want to squeeze extra performance out of? Well, Fixie's got you covered with a simple little thing that does just that. It's called GPU overclocking. Hey guys, welcome back to Fixie TV, where we do weekly tech repair and review videos. I'm your host Anton, and if you aren't subscribed to the channel but want to see our weekly content, hit the subscribe button and notification bell down below. So, I won't take much of your time with the intro, but simply put, we're going to be doing a tutorial on GPU overclocking. Basically, when you overclock your GPU, or any PC component actually, you're pushing it past the limit that's set by manufacturers to squeeze a little bit more performance out of it. And not to mention, it's all for free. In this video, we're going to be doing this specifically on a GTX 1080, but the same process applies for almost all GPUs out there. Before you go out and overclock your GPU, we have to tell you that it voids the warranty of the GPU. That means if your GPU is fairly new, you won't be able to get it replaced if something does break. Also, you need to make sure that your system has adequate cooling because overclocking produces a lot of heat. Also, you need to have a decent power supply to supply all the power that's being brought to the GPU with the extra overclocking. However, be warned that overclocking can and might break your GPU if you do it incorrectly or if you push it too far. So we're not responsible for any damage that comes to your cards. With that out of the way, let's get to it. When it comes to GPU overclocking, all you need is a handy tool called MSI Afterburner. For those of you that don't know, MSI Afterburner is a GPU monitoring and overclocking tool developed by MSI. And it has a large suite of tools to help you both benchmark, monitor thermals, as well as overclock your graphics card. This is probably the safest way to tinker and overclock your GPU. To help us determine a stable overclock, we recommend you get a benchmarking tool like Unigine Heaven. This is something that you can run continuously in the background while testing your overclock to make sure it's stable. Alright, so once you have MSI Afterburner installed, the first thing you want to do is set the power limit of your graphics card to the highest possible. This will make sure that we have every bit of juice that we need to pull off a stable overclock. We also recommend you set your fans to manual mode and crank it up all the way to 100%. This is so that the temperatures won't be the cause for your GPU to crash. When those are set, you can start running the Unigine Heaven benchmark. Make sure that it will be at 1080p resolution and the graphics settings are set to the highest. While running the benchmark, go to your MSI Afterburner and raise the core clock by 15 MHz at a time. Then apply the overclock with this little check down below. Do this until you find some screen artifacts on the benchmarking tool, or the benchmark crashes outright. This means that you've reached the highest possible overclock your GPU can handle. Once that happens, set your clock to 15 MHz less than the last one you put, or if you want to be on the safe side, reduce it by 30 MHz. So after overclocking the core clock, you can overclock the memory. This is basically done doing the same process of changing it in intervals, but instead of 15 MHz increments, you can use 100 MHz instead. Follow the same process until the GPU crashes or artifacts, then set the memory to the last stable clock you had. Once you've got your overclock set, just hit the save profile button and hit one of the numbers on the MSI Afterburner tool. At this point, we highly recommend you set the fan curves on your GPU so you can have it silent when needed and have it ramp up when needed as well. This way, your GPU won't sound like a jet engine the entire time. We'll have a separate video in the future detailing how to set the fan curves of your system, so stay tuned for that. Also, if you are able to pass the benchmark test, we recommend you actually start playing some games. That way you can really see if your overclock is stable or not. So we recommend playing a few of your most demanding titles in your system to see if you actually got any benefit. Here's a comparison of before and after on our benchmark. Unfortunately, the GPU we had on hand to use for overclocking wasn't a Silicon Lottery winner, so we were only able to get a slight overclock on it. As you can see with the results, there wasn't much of a difference. However, results may vary from card to card depending on how good of quality the silicon is. Worst comes to worst, if your overclock does fail, and the GPU keeps crashing, you can always set the settings of the overclock back to factory settings in the MSI Afterburner menu. And this happens to a lot of people because their GPUs aren't Silicon Lottery winners. Not every GPU is created equal, so again, your results may vary. Anyways, that's the end of the video. We hope you enjoyed and learned something from this overclocking tutorial. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please consider giving a thumbs up and commenting down below as well. We do weekly tech videos, so hit the subscribe button and notification bell if you want to see more of this content. Or if you have any suggestions, feel free to leave it in the comments down below as well. The next episode is going to be an interesting one because we're really going to show you how to build your dream PC. Till then, we'll see you in the next video. See ya!
Yeah, you told me